Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Farmington Public Schools January Spotlight. I am very, very excited to bring to you our International Baccalaureate programs that we have in the district. We have three wonderful programs, and we have incredible instructors and our students, our wonderful students with us to talk to us and help us learn a little bit about the offerings of the International Baccalaureate program here in Farmington Public Schools. So, what I'll ask just to start off, if I can have each of our instructors introduce themselves and the students that are with them, and then we'll get into some questions and learn about the IB. So let's start with Mr. Miesner from the International Baccalaureate uh, DP program, the high school program.
Yep, I'm Kevin Miesner. I'm the IB coordinator and chemistry teacher for the IB program here. Um, I have Isabel Torres and Natasha Davis with me, a junior and a senior, both in the full diploma program. Would you like me to go?
That's fantastic. So we'll look forward to hearing from the students and appreciate. So that's one of our high school programs. I'll go to my left on my screen, Mrs. Cadeau. If you can introduce yourself, your program, and your students.
Hi, I'm Janet Cadeau, and I'm the IBCP coordinator. I'm the personal professional skills teacher, and I also am a health science teacher. And with me, I have Simra, Nadeem, and Hank Burns-Pavlik.
Fantastic. And at our elementary school, we also have an international baccalaureate program. And so I'll turn it over to Mrs. Wiercinski. If you can introduce yourself, your role, and the wonderful students that you have with you.
I am Melissa Wiercinski at Wood Creek Elementary. I'm the International Baccalaureate Primary Years Program Coordinator and Interventionist here, and I have two students with me. This is Jessie Lewis and Ava Grays. There are two fifth graders here at our school.
Fantastic. Well, can't wait to hear from all of our students. But let's start at the kind of 10,000 foot view. So, international baccalaureate, people hear about it. There are IB schools now that are increasingly around high schools as well as middle schools and elementary schools in the United States, but it started many, many decades ago. So, maybe I can start with Mr. Miesner. Can you just give us kind of a broad stroke of where did IB come from? What is IB?
So late 60s, early 70s, there was a push from diplomats in America looking for schools within the states that would represent the entire world. And so an organization was founded that created, starting with high school level program and then working its way through. There's a middle level program and a PYP younger years program. And so that it was a push from diplomats.
And I've had the wonderful experience in prior districts to work in school districts that have also had the IB program, and so I'm very familiar with the program. It did begin with diplomats who were looking for a consistent curriculum as they were moved around the world for their students, and it gained not only popularity because of the consistency of the curriculum, but of the methodology, the teaching methodology we're going to talk about in a little bit. So again, to my left on my screen, so Mrs. Cadeau, the CP is different. It's a high school program. It didn't start in the 60s, but can you give us a little background on the CP?
Yes. So in about 2012, the IB had been working prior to that, but introduced the IBCP career-related program, which the way that our program is authorized, it is dependent upon the DP program. It does incorporate the rigor of the DP and then the benefit of the IB or the career-related programs in our CTE programs.
That is fantastic. And we are one of the only school districts that has both the DP, the diploma program, and the CP, the career program. And we're very proud of that.
Yeah.
And we also have the PYP program. So, Mrs. Wiercinski, can you tell us a little bit about the PYP program?
Yeah, the PYP program is a little bit different from the DPCP. Students don't select into the model. Like our whole school is part of the primary years program. And sometimes it's surprising to know the primary years program can start at 3 years old up through an elementary program. And then our last year is considered the capstone, where students participate in an exhibition to showcase all their learning.
Fantastic. Well, let's stay with the PYP and let's talk to Ava and Jessie. So, Ava and Jessie, thank you for doing this. Welcome to the profile, the January profile. Let's start with Ava and then to Jessie. Um, how how do you use the learner profile in your life? And can you tell us about the learner profile?
So like our learner profiles, we have a lot. We have like a lot of like risk takers, principal, communicator, and we use like a lot of them a lot in our like personal lives and at school. Yeah.
Okay. Jessie.
Yes.
How does our school utilize the learner profile, and how do we recognize how students utilize the character traits? How do they use?
So every month we like get a slip sometimes. Well, sometimes we get a slip that, so what's this month?
Inquirer, since we just
So, like,
started. Our January term is Inquirer. So
we-
then we think about
We would think about what we do to inquire, and we would put it on a slip and turn it into Miss Wiercinski.
So all of these learner profile traits, they're kind of rolled out month by month, and they're really kind of character traits that help you learn. And you mentioned some of them. Let's make sure people understand which ones we have. And I don't know if you have a
yeah,
Okay.
we
there
do.
that helps.
Go
So
ahead.
can you list them off for me?
Yeah, risk takers,
Okay,
open-minded,
that's a good one.
principled,
Mhm.
caring, knowledgeable, inquirers, communicators,
Okay.
reflective, balanced, and thinkers.
So those are 10 wonderful characteristics. I think if you're that kind of person, that's a pretty good person to be with a lot of good skills. So wonderful. We'll come back to you in a moment. So the high school students, the learner profile traits is a really unique aspect of the IB programs, all of the programs. And so the idea is to not only learn about them, but to live into them. So let's go into the DP program. Let's talk to Isabel and Natasha. Talk to us about you. How do you experience or live out the learner profile in your program, in your lives?
I can start. Yeah, go ahead. I would say personally, I feel as though the learner profile it allows us to understand that like the world is a bigger place than just specifically Farmington or even Michigan. I think being able to be a good communicator and other traits such as that are heavily reflected within our program, and those are relayed throughout the school and even in the community after Farmington and in college as well as post. I think they're essentially like key items to include in everyday tasks. And I think that just creating a positive atmosphere surrounded by the learner profile is key in helping other students and, just like I said, the environment around you be more positive and inclusive.
So for me, one of the profile traits is obviously being reflective.
Mhm.
And I feel like that trait alone encompasses how I feel about the profile in general. Seeing the profile really, I feel like, helped me foster the traits that I already had, and they helped me grow and build upon those traits and becoming, a more caring person, becoming a risk taker. Something that we do in a lot of our classes is to reflect on how we use that trait within the classroom. But I think it's also a really useful tool to think about just how you are as a person in general. How are you, demonstrating these traits in your life and your relationships? It's a valuable thing to know, and it's really valuable to have a term to put with the way that you're acting.
That's wonderful feedback and insight. And, in the schools I worked with in IBs, over time, especially in a school like a PYP that everyone is doing it, you get the same kind of terminology. And then people really, it kind of creates a culture of really thinking about others, being empathetic, being internationally minded or globally minded, and encouraging yourself and others to take risks. So that's wonderful. And how about Hank and Simra? How about you in terms of the learner profile traits and how that manifests itself in your lives and in your work?
I believe that the learner profile trait, like being taught it in my IB classes and kind of fully seeing all these characteristics and aspects being played out while I'm in it, allows myself to, as Natasha said, put a word to what I'm learning and to these characteristics that I'm learning. Personally, I feel like through being in the IBCP, I feel like it helped me become more balanced and work out my schedule with IB and like a regular schedule along with my career-related study. So I think it just really helps me in my personal life and allow myself to fully embrace different aspects that I didn't think I would like kind of be thinking of, like being balanced, being a risk taker, open-minded, and stuff like that.
Yeah, going off of what everybody said, it keeps the traits on the forefront of your mind, seeing them on a poster in all of your classes.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me that I have to be balanced. One of the traits that I've especially grown in is communicator. Before I started in the IB program, I don't think I would have ever been sitting in front of a camera or been speaking at a meeting or been reaching out to the superintendent to ask him about a project.
Right.
It's given me a lot of confidence in that, and putting them all together has definitely made me a more well-rounded person, I think.
That's a great example. And yes, Hank was at our board meeting last night presenting, and so and did a wonderful job. So let's stick for a second with the CP program. So tell us about how your career-related study has prepared you for your future career, or what you envision as your future career. We can start with Simra and come back to Hank.
I believe my career-related study is health science, and I believe that the CTE classes that I took, which is med skills, which I took last year, which is a year-long class, and field study and med terminology that I'm taking next semester, they will really help me in my future as I want to become a physician assistant. And learning all these key aspects in medical skills, I remember hands-on work, learning like being CPR certified from that class, learning first aid, and learning all these things will very much help me in my future to have this basis of knowledge to go off of when I'm in college, and even when I'm actually doing my work, and remembering that my CTE courses helped me to get where I am today.
That's exciting. It's probably more enjoyable than even just kind of a traditional class, because you know that this is preparing you for something that you aspire to do. So there's more I guess engagement and commitment and interest in it, because you know it's leading to somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. And especially for field study, we're going to be taking trips to the hospital and stuff like that to kind of really feel like what it is to be in the environment. So I feel like that would very much help me in my future career.
Wonderful. How about you, Hank?
The career-related study I'm in is media and broadcast through TV10, because I want to go into the AV field. The biggest thing the career-related program has helped me with that is giving me more experiences than I would have had I just done TV10 or had I just done the IB Diploma program. Because I'm doing what I like doing and what I want to do in the future, but also I get a taste of the academic rigors that I'm going to be dealing with in college. I'm learning how to operate, how to run audio systems, but then I'm also learning higher level English, and I'm learning that business is not the thing for me, is that it's better and left for other people, which I might not have known had I not been in the IB Diploma business.
That's fantastic. That experiential learning, kind of the quasi internships and understanding about it, and replicating kind of that college experience. I know I'd speak to former graduates of our IB schools in previous districts, and they would come back, and not only kind of the skills and the executive functioning skills, the ability, the writing demands on you, they felt really prepared for college academically, but they felt very well rounded, and they kind of knew better than some of their peers where they wanted to go. So let's shift over to Isabel and Natasha. So why did you choose the DP program, and what do you think what do you think makes IBDP different from a typical school experience or a traditional school experience?
Okay. Personally, I heard about the diploma program when I was an 8th grader, and it really stuck with me because I've always specifically wanted to work with the Walt Disney Company, which I know is very internationally based. And so being able to have a balanced curriculum that I know individuals from around the world would also receive would be very key in acquiring that potential job in the future. The specific classes I took, history and business, I feel really helped me tie in my goals and aspirations with working in such a dynamic and international field. Because specifically from my business class, I feel as though I'll be more prepared to handle international business rather than strictly the United States and its assets. I think personally, the diploma program was always a place I fit in really well because of the close-knit community also. My classmates, we often talk about my aspirations as well as theirs. And so being able to be close and connected with them in goals and aspirations and even holding each other accountable was always a really strong ideology that I preferred with my peers.
You bring up the idea of the cohort model. More and more advanced degrees, graduate degrees, including the PhD programs, are moving to a cohort model for the very reasons that you said. It's accountability to each other, but it's also that shared commitment, shared progress, shared venting and frustration. So it's that family that helps you get to the finish line. So more and more advanced degrees are doing that as well. Just a quick sidebar. Have you ever heard of the book Creating Magic about
I
Walt
have.
Disney?
Yes, I believe my dad bought it a few months back.
Well, I've read it. I've used it in college classes. I have it if you want another
I would
copy.
love to.
It's a wonderful book. We can talk about it, but it's from a former CEO of Walt Disney about the whole philosophy of Disney and a lot of the things that you're talking about. So kudos to you.
Yes, I'll have to borrow that definitely sometime soon.
Sounds good.
So I pursued the IB Diploma program because it was actually recommended to me by some of my middle school teachers. They noticed the type of student that I was, and they just let me know, like, there's this global program at the high school level. We think you would be a really great, candidate to study in this program. And as soon as I heard about it, I knew it was the perfect match for me. I've always been the type of person who likes to challenge myself academically and otherwise. And so hearing about a program where, I could do that and also embrace a worldly perspective just sounded like the perfect opportunity for me. And I'm really grateful that I stuck with it and, that I'm studying in IB. As aforementioned, the community aspect is it's so beautiful. Like, that is such a great thing that we have here in IB. And I think it definitely does set it apart from other programs. Even having taken AP classes in the past, something that you'll notice with the IB teachers is that, they really want you to succeed. And I think that's a strength of IB specifically here in Farmington Public Schools, because I have IB friends at other schools and they're just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm doing with my extended essay. I don't know what I'm doing here. But here at Farmington, the teachers really genuinely want you to succeed and they will help and support you in any way. And I think that is definitely something that, sets us apart.
That's a really nice endorsement for your teachers. I actually just left a student roundtable meeting where there was some conversation about the commitment of IB teachers and you have an IB study lab that teachers stay after school and they help you. And so that's a real endorsement of your teachers and their commitment. So your success is their success and we're all very proud of you. So let's go to the PYP. Let's go on back and talk to Ava and Jessie. So Ava and Jessie, the PYP, the Primary Years Program, your program is all about taking action. And what are some of the activities that you have participated in at Wood Creek through the PYP program?
So we do Take Action Day. And we do a lot of things that can help our school become better for everybody else.
Last year, I'm pretty sure on Take Action Day, I took a plant and we took a milk carton that we get at lunch and we would bring it back to class. And we on Take Action Day, we would cover it in glass of news. It was some kind of
decorated it.
We decorated it.
We made
and then we would
flowers, and we sent them to some people at a
homeless
home.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You drank it first. You drank the milk.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it was clean and empty. All right. And then you decorated them.
So then
And
they
we
donated them. And one thing we try to do for Take Action Day is every grade does different activities. A
Yeah.
service to yourself, a service to your school, and a service to others. And it just kind of takes a day and kind of magnifies it, like this is part of our program. But Jessie and Ava have also experienced ways to take action through school, to do their learning, to share with others, to be in different clubs and activities. Yeah, can you think of like, can you explain something maybe about the Bear Action Team or student equity?
So for the Bear Action Team, we have like meetings like every so month, and we talk
every other week.
we talk about like upcoming events, or like if there's something going on in a month, and we'll plan like some things for the school, like what we will do.
It's October, we
Yeah.
collected socks.
There's a canned food drive that we do.
Like the candy thing from Halloween.
Yeah.
We would
And-
collect candy.
Yeah, for the canned food drive, every class gets a box, and kids bring in cans to put in the box.
Wonderful.
People from the Bear Action Team come and count your cans.
And then the winner gets like
A pizza party. For getting the most cans.
Nothing like a pizza party. That's all the motivation that you need. Well, that's fantastic. I'm going to come back to you, so I want you to start thinking about your answer, but I want to know about your exhibition day and the projects that you do kind of at the end of the PYP, and Mrs. Wiercinski can maybe help you with that, but start thinking about that as I go back and talk to your teachers and to our high school students. So for our teachers, you've been teaching for a while. You understand, that there are different pedagogical approaches. So how would you characterize, if you can, IB teaching, the approach, the Socratic seminar, maybe help our viewers understand what's done a little differently, the inquiry-based approach. I don't want to steal all your fire, but maybe let's start with Mr. Miesner and then to Mrs. Cadeau and then Mrs. Wiercinski. So talk to us about teaching in the IB.
So first thing that comes up is that IB classes are all 2 years long. So at the high school level, the DP classes. So for instance, when a student takes my chemistry class, they'll be with me the junior year and the senior year. That while there is a ton of content that has to be taught and a ton of skills that have to be taught, that gives us time to work through all of that, which is a little different than most high school classes, which are a semester or a year.
Sure.
One of the comparisons people make is that IB classes are more like scuba diving, where other classes are more like water skiing, where we can spend some time diving a little bit deeper and seeing everything that's going on.
Well, that's an interesting comparison. Okay.
So yeah, one of the things that we do is one of the classes kids take is called Theory of Knowledge, TOK, which really has students start questioning everything we know. Do we trust what we know? How do we know what we know is the catchphrase for it. Mm-hmm. So in all of our classes, all of our subject area classes, we still dig deep with that TOK mindset and start questioning everything that we're learning as the students or teaching as the teachers. Mm-hmm. So for instance, when we're learning about the structure of an atom in chemistry, we ask a lot of questions about like, how much do we really trust what we know about these images that we're putting on the board, and how correct are these images? So to me, that's because we have a little bit more time in those classes. We can pause and we can dig a little bit deeper.
So it's learning how to read critically and research and justify and understand, as opposed to just receiving information and trusting it.
Right. That communicator piece requires students to not just learn some content and then take a test on it. Requires them to discuss with each other or with the teacher all of this and question it. When I taught AP chemistry for years, and a lot of people think AP and IB are the same because you can get college credits at the end. But AP chemistry I didn't have the time to really dig into some of those questioning pieces.
I understand.
IB being 2 years, we have more time to do that. So that's like the big difference, probably.
Wonderful. Mrs. Cadeau, and anything to add on the instructional side of things?
Sure. Well, in addition to the inquiry-based approach and then the international mindedness that's pulled in not only in the DP courses, but also in our personal professional skills course for the CP candidates, we get a lot of extra information and developing those personal and professional skills that they're going to need to be successful in the workplace. What employers are telling us we need to do is produce students who are all of what the learner profile trait encompasses, and that's a big emphasis in the PPS course. But also they develop the communication skills primarily. Both of these, I think, would agree that they have really grown from that first day in their junior year to now, where they're speaking in front of the camera. We also have a community cohort as well in that PPS course where we get the opportunity to really get to know each other and help each other through learning those personal traits and communication, applied ethics, international mindedness, critical thinking, are the crux of that program. And that helps them to prepare for the core, which is creating a reflective project and then doing their service learning, getting out there and doing stuff in the community for a special cause, and then also developing their language because they have to do a component of language development as part of the IBCP core. And through that, they are not just getting information and then reciting it back. They're thinking, they're processing, they're reflecting, they are learning, they're competing, they're doing all sorts of things that help them to just build a better profile for themselves as a learner.
That's wonderful. You know, one of the things that I really appreciated about IB was kind of the backwards design or the inquiry-based model and the guiding question that you would create. And so, you know, when I was a middle school principal in the middle years program in an international baccalaureate program, I remember that we had a cross-curricular question that I thought was a wonderful question, and it was simply, how does the access to water impact a country? And that spanned across science, across social studies, certainly English to write about it, you know, science and looking at clean water. And, you know, when one political nation could dam a river and they, you know, would contain the water and it wouldn't trickle down to the next country. And so that whole idea of kind of a broad question that inspires curiosity and multidisciplinary aspect was one of the biggest differences I saw in teaching, not only teaching it myself, but then as an administrator working with other teachers. So
the fact that IB is a full program with 6 courses that students take means that the curriculum has been made to kind of intertwine. So the student that spends 2 years taking these courses is going to see overlap between their classes. So it's something I'm teaching in chemistry, students will go, we just talked about that in English class in the book we read. And there's all these like times they come back together.
Which is supposed to be the point of learning, right? Is connectivity and application of knowledge. Yeah. So let's go back to the PYP. So Mrs. Wiercinski, I know this is a school-wide program, but just over your years instructing, any kind of, from an instructional standpoint, any changes? And then maybe we can dovetail that into, talk to us kids about the exhibition, your 5th year exhibition. And
so I'll start and then I'll lead into you. So at the staff here at Wood Creek have all been trained and are working towards a more inquiry-based style of learning. There are 6 transdisciplinary themes at the PYP level: who we are, how we express ourselves, and each theme, then the teachers take the Farmington curriculum and they try to help find connectedness within the unit to help students bring up their wonderings, their curiosity through the unit, and so that the students take agency and guide. But the staff also have to work magically to try to weave in the curriculum to make sure that we hit the important parts of our local and state curriculum. And then on top of it, as each student is working through the unit, the teachers are helping them understand, we call it the line of inquiry. It's like a key statement that ties the unit together. Like it could be forces create change, or your environment creates who you are and the actions you take. And so as students connect with all these lines of inquiry throughout their experience, it ends up with our 5th graders doing something where they create the final unit, and it's called the exhibition. And so Jessie and Ava have experienced the exhibition as a fourth grader, where they were invited to go see the students' projects. And so can you think of some of the projects that you saw last year?
I saw something about the Ukraine war.
Mm-hmm. And Ava, do you remember any other ones? You said one earlier.
There was like about some of the crops from some of the indigenous areas, farming.
Yeah, we talked about
In
the garden and bringing back some Michigan indigenous plants and how they would grow. There were students who dealt with inflation and it's rising.
Wow.
We had students who dealt with homelessness, mental health, bullying. And so Jessie and Ava soon are going to start. What is their passion? What are they interested in learning about? And then they'll try to connect with some other students to create a small group that will then guide what do they want to learn.
I have been to several fifth grade exhibitions in PYP schools, and the best part about it is the students are the ones who are running the whole show. They greet you, they present, they share any documents, they run their own PowerPoints, and they really exhibit their knowledge and their group work. So, so kids, I don't want to put you on the spot, but any idea of kind of what you're thinking about for your fifth grade exhibition project? And maybe our high school students can give you some ideas if you can't come up with them.
What's something that you've maybe learned about this year that you want to extend your curiosity into, continue to think about?
Maybe more about the garden at our school.
Indigenous people, maybe.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So there's some history application there. I mean, you might even be able to combine some of those with agricultural and developing gardens and that. Fantastic. All right. So let me go back. So kind of my final question here. One of the things that I want to make clear that people understand is that we're very proud of the fact that the International Baccalaureate programs that we have in Farmington Public Schools are internal programs within our school. So you can have there are international academies, which are local high schools that people can apply to, or they can attend. But all of your classes are offsite at a different location, and you don't necessarily have the same traditional high school experience or traditional elementary, middle school experience. A program within a program like we have allows you to not only pursue this kind of rigorous academic course, but still be able to be involved in the social clubs and in athletics and some of the other aspects of a traditional high school experience. And it's not always easy to maintain that, but we've been able to do that. So my question to the students is just kind of, I'll do a couple of questions. You can answer however you want. Is first of all, how do you have time for anything else besides the IB work? Like, how do you balance that if you're involved in other activities? And, what do you really appreciate about your IB program, the experience? So maybe combine those two questions. Let's start with the CP students, and then we'll go to our DP students, and then we'll come back for one last question for our elementary students.
So one of the reasons I chose the IB career program is because there's less homework than in the diploma program. I'm only taking 3 IB classes instead of 7. But it's really nice to be able to go have a class with the IBCP cohort that's just really tight-knit. And then I get to go have lunch with my friends who are in AP and non-AP IB classes. And then I'm also a part of the TV10 program, which is an extremely tight-knit community. So I get to experience all these different ways of doing school, all while doing the one that best fits me.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with Hank on that. Like, I like the ability that I have to be a part of such a tight-knit community, to feel like I'm a part of this IB community, while also being able to see my friends and also like learn from, like, such as my CTE courses, learn from courses that I would typically not get in the IB diploma, and also about balance, as that is one of our learner profile traits. I feel like our IB teachers, because we have them for 2 years, and because they understand like kind of where we're coming from as IB students, they help us with this balance. They're more lenient. Say, like, for instance, I have an essay due, they would be more lenient on me. Like, say if I had something going on, I know I could go and talk to them about it. And I feel like just learning this balance and knowing that I have my teachers to rely on in this really helps me kind of organize and balance my schedule to be able to like fulfill what I want to do and my IB classes.
Fantastic.
I can start.
Go ahead.
I would say personally, I feel as though oftentimes the individuals I come in contact with in my diploma program are involved in many activities. I, for example, am involved in 2 varsity sports, as well as numerous clubs and NHS. I feel as though most of my peers are the same way. So there is kind of like an anonymous understanding that we all do have our own personal lives, as well as being individuals within the IB community. I think that is definitely essential in like relaying that to my classmates and giving them credit for that as well. I think 100% that my teachers are extremely accommodating with reflections on how we feel as a student body within IB. I think most of the time my teachers often look for our feedback when making lesson plans or adjusting schedules, because they know that us as IB students, we tend to like to push ourselves more. And even going back to the learner portfolio and profile, I would say inherently, if you are an IB student with a lot of those characteristics, you are going to be more involved. And I think just the understanding, like the subconscious, it's not even really discussed often, but the understanding that we are all in this together, even if I only have one class with an individual or I only see certain people sometimes. I think, once again, that's what makes the IB community, specifically the diploma program in my grade, I think that's what makes us so tight-knit.
Wonderful.
I agree with. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I agree with everything that was said previously. And I'd also actually like to emphasize that I feel like participating in activities outside of IB is just inherent to the nature of the diploma program. We have to do something called CAS, which stands for Creativity Activity Service. And so we have to, get these different experiences that cover one of those grounds, and we reflect on them. And so, for example, one of my CAS experiences was my family went on a trip to California and we visited Yosemite. And so I got to write about that and reflect on that as part of my curriculum. Or, for example, I'm in different clubs. And so I get to write about what I'm doing in my clubs, my goals, how I want to improve, what went wrong, what went right. That's just a part of IB in and of itself. So it's basically built in that you do have time to, have an outside life, because it's basically encouraged.
Fantastic. Well, I know from working with so many students that it's very, very rigorous. It can be very, very stressful. But I also know that your teachers care so much about you, and they're always monitoring kind of your stress levels and your capacity to sometimes we have to stop you from pushing yourselves too much. So. And so let's go for the final word for our PYP kids. And then I do want to give our teachers a chance to share any kind of final words. But so to Ava and Jessie, if someone were to ask you, should I come to Wood Creek to go to the PYP program? What would your answer be? And what would you say is the best part about the PYP program?
So I would say it's super nice how we get to learn about all different cultures in our classes, and we get to read books every month when we do our traits of the month. So there's a book every month, and it's just really fun how the teachers are super just nice, and they really just help us a lot learn about the IB program.
Wonderfully said. And how about you, Jessie?
I think they should come to the IB school because we do all these fun days, caring for people and for ourselves. And we do lots of work.
Fantastic. Well, the future is bright with all of you, and to see that we have this from elementary school all the way through high school, and it helps you pursue things that you're interested in. It gets you excited. It gets your teachers excited about what they're teaching. We're just very proud of the programs that we have here in Farmington Public Schools. So, any last words from our teachers? Things that you wanted to share? We appreciate you being here.
We're currently in the next month holding some information sessions for 8th grade families who are interested in finding out more. The middle schools have been sending that information out, so they just need to check their email.
Okay, and I can make just a comment on that. So we are we were intentionally looking to highlight the IB program here in January. We have open schools of choice for external families as well, just for 11th graders coming into the high school program, because we're so proud of the program, and certainly you have to have the preparatory coursework to be eligible for that, but that would be an option. And we do offer internal transfers for people. We currently have our IB2 programs at Farmington High School and then the PYP at Wood Creek. And so for residents, you can certainly apply now as the open window for a transfer if you wanted to pursue the program at either of those schools. And then last 2 words from Mrs. Cadeau and Mrs.
I'll make
Wiercinski.
a quick 30-second elevator pitch, but the IBCP is the newest program. We're in our 3rd year of the cohort. It was authorized in 2020. We had our first graduate in 2022, and we're growing this program. It's an opportunity for students as an IB option to combine the rigor of the IB along with the CTE coursework to prepare really well for college and career readiness. So if you need more information, we have a link on the website at Farmington High School, and I think we'll have a link posted with this video when it's edited, and a QR code. If you want more information, you can reach out to me. Thanks.
Fantastic. And I thought you had some great testimonials from Hank and Simra, who certainly showed you with their smiles and their excitement about the value of the program to them.
I think one of the best things about the program is that when you walk around the different classrooms have something called a wonder board in it, in which students have put up a thought bubble of something that they're thinking about, and to see what our students are inquiring about is just incredible, and how they extend it through their life. We have students who will come and tell, like if we put something on the announcements that we're doing something, and then they'll come back and share with me when they see me in the hall, I've got something to tell you. I was an inquirer last night. I thought about this. And so it's great. And this at the end of February, we're going to have something called an inquiry fair, kind of like a science fair, but we don't want to limit it to just like experiments. So we're asking our students, if you have something you're passionate about that you want to inquire more about, come share and learn. We're encouraging them to take a risk on a topic that they might not know something about and share with us. So we've got great things going on at Wood Creek. And if anybody wants to come over and see, I'd be more than happy to give a tour.
Well, thank you all so very, very much. I know we took a little bit longer today, but we have 3 programs, and I wanted to highlight all of you. I'm so proud of you, so appreciative of our teachers who are leading you in this effort. And I'm thinking of you, high school folks. I'm sending you good vibes because I know you're getting ready for your IB finals in a week or so. So good luck with that. And thank you all so much for being the Farmington Public Schools January Spotlight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.